Peace and love, everybody. Salute to all the great people. Salute. Okay. Wanted to come by and share some thoughts that I have, of course, surrounding the great king, Deontay Wilder, and the outcome of what we saw last night. Real talk, I'm not sure if we witnessed the last performance of the bronze bomber, Wilder. Not sure if we witnessed the last performance. It seems to be the case. We've heard some perspectives that he shared leading up to the fight that were basically predicated on the outcome. You know, what would happen if he lost, if he won. But, you know, he has not made any official statement since his defeat last evening in Saudi Arabia to Zhili Zhang, who put on a really great performance. But I don't know. I don't know what the deal is. I guess we'll see in time what his official decision is, what he confirms. I would suppose, you know, sooner than later. And we'll get there when we get there. But at this time, I think it's necessary to thank him. To thank him. For boxing fans and his fans. To simply thank him for what he has given up to this point. You know, come what may, whatever may be on the horizon with his news and with his decision is what it is. But up until this point, I just like to provide thanks, you know, just to say thank you. And I think that's what the hardcore boxing fans, you know, are also feeling as well upon seeing what we saw last evening. Wilder was the WBC champion for, what, five straight years, y'all? He single-handedly electrified the heavyweight division, which was suffering a deep coma previous to his arrival on the scene, okay? He brought such a level of excitement to heavyweight boxing, it was unreal, okay? And it hadn't been seen, that level of excitement, I want to say since the days of, you know, Holyfield, Tyson, Lewis, Bo, and the like, right? Let's remember that. This man stepped into a gym at 20 years old, you guys. 20, with a child on his hip, whose life was in a precarious situation. He defied every odd that one could imagine, yet and still became an Olympian, turned pro, continued learning on the job, and became one of the most powerful men that the heavyweight division has ever seen walk the earth. These are facts. These are facts. Put your respect on this man's name. Let's not forget that this is the same man with the same number of title defenses as the great mighty ancestor, Muhammad Ali. 10 title defenses. Let's not forget. Let's also not forget that there would have been no Tyson Fury, as we know him, if Deontay Wilder did not extend him an opportunity. Let's not forget Anthony Joshua's name would not be known in America as it is today with any relevance had it not been for the constant association with Deontay Wilder. Let's not forget. Put your respect on this man's name. Okay? He's given blood, you guys. He's given blood like the beautiful line of black kings before him. He gave blood. He gave heart. Put respect on his name. Now, I can get deep into, a psychoanalysis of this King Wilder, just dive really deeply into that. But I don't think we need to because we know what time it is. But I will posit that when he was on fire and shredding everything in front of him, a lot of the cowardly boxing world found this man to be too much at that particular time. You guys remember? He was unapologetic, ironclad, and a force that didn't fear receiving death or giving it. This was too much. This was a lot. This was a lot to handle from a lot of critics and detractors at the time. Okay? His name was drug in the mud for his ferocity. But isn't that what we say we want from our fighters? Isn't that what we said we wanted to see of him last evening? The ferocity? But that ferocity was the same ferocity that was torn down at a particular time. Somehow they were looking for an off switch when it was turned on too high, apparently, at that time. They wanted the off switch to it, right? The world over, boxing media, fighters, professional fighters all had their opinions. Fans all had their opinion. Criticized his style, his IQ, his delivery, his accent, the way he walked, his black, pro-black mentality. All of these things were criticized. Yet, the same people were the same ones eating out of his hand when he chopped another tree down, when he made another body touch the earth, touch the canvas, right? You were all lined up to watch him yet and still. Amid all the complaining about him, amid all the hating, the side shade that you throw at him, you all lined up and watched him nonetheless. Okay? What's interesting to me also in the dynamic is that, and I think a lot of people can agree, is that the last two fights that Deontay Wilder had with Tyson Fury is what dismantled him. I believe that was the dawning of his undoing, the last two particular fights with Tyson Fury. The battling that he received, particularly in that second fight, his skull being caved the fuck in, literally. Okay? The Glovegate scandal that was rampant not only disrupted him physically, but mentally. Wilder was a changed man leaving that ring that particular night. And by the time the third fight came around, the writing was on the wall for me. It just was what it was. And he pressed on. Wilder pressed on nonetheless because, once you got that dog in you, it don't quit. It's just hard to put at bay. And so he continued on fighting Hellenius and, of course, getting in the ring with Parker and everything else from that point on. After his fight with Robert Hellenius, however, some things seemed to change or shift in his personal life around that time, I want to say. He seemed to have entered a deep state of self-analysis, and he's done some dialogue and discussions about this, giving a little bit of insight. And it definitely seems to be the case for sure. Went into a period of introspection, looking into aspects of his self-doubt that he was dealing with. He seems to be, also at that time getting into a deep spiritual transformation within himself. And amid all of the tarnishing of his name and all the criticism that was being piled up over the years, good, bad, and indifferent, I guess all of this was taking effect on him and on the interior basis of Wilder. And it seemed to have mellowed him out. And it seemed to have had him finding himself basically leaning towards a more sedentary life, liking a more sedentary life, his kids, his home, his peace of mind, things like that. And I believe that what we witnessed in Saudi Arabia last night was someone who wanted to find and feed his fire. But I do not believe we saw someone who already carried the fire in his pocket. which is a sight to see. I think it happened many a times in boxing. We've seen it many a time in boxing. Real talk, this is a sport that is not only brutal, in its output from competitors sharpening iron against iron, but probably more brutal is the aspect and the weight and the toll that it takes on the mind of a warrior, on the heart of the warrior, okay, who has to take his combat, his battle scars, his psychological bruises home with him. It doesn't just end when they turn off all the lights and, he's finished with his press conference and signing autographs and kissing babies and shaking hands and high-fiving people. He has to take these things home with him. He has to take the war home with him and decompress from his wars. Okay, we do not see the aftershock that climbs into bed with these warriors after they kiss their kids and their wife goodnight. We do not see the questions that are circling inside of them that follow him around in his day-to-day life and sit down next to him while he's having his morning coffee. We don't see the doubts that he has to face in the mirror. This is another layer as to why the saying goes, you don't play boxing, right? It's very, very deep. And I think we saw a composite of all of these things with Deontay. But whatever direction the great King Deontay Wilder chooses to go, whether he decides to compete again or not, he is met with my full respect. I have to say that. I have been a fan of his, a supporter of this man for so many years. And I can honestly say that he has never once disappointed me as a boxing fan. In his victories, in his defeats, he never let me down. He only gave me what I wanted, what I asked for, which was his heart, his courage, himself. Okay? He gave American boxing, the American boxing landscape, something that cannot be bought on pay-per-view. He gave us legacy in real time, y'all. Okay? We got to watch his rise. We got to hear his history. We got to see his mistakes, his kingship, his generalship, his masculinity, his family ties, his struggles, his sacrifice, his love for his people, and his love of boxing as a whole. What else can we say to this man but thank you, y'all? Real talk. What else can we give him as real boxing fans except our thanks? Put all of your respect on this man's name. Wilder equals king. Anyway, I'm on to the next, y'all. Peace.